Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Battlefield 4 News, and today we're going to take a look at the new Battlefield 4 premium trailer, which has some clips from Dragon's Teeth and Final Stand in it. We're going to have a look at the multiple kill vehicle, which appears to be in Final Stand, and we're going to have a look at some of the real world locations for the Dragon's Teeth DLC. So first up, let's play the new trailer. So as usual, that's a pretty frantic trailer, and most Battlefield 4 trailers seem to be. We did get a few seconds of the Dragon's Teeth expansion in there, and you can learn a bit more if you slow it down. If we zoom in and slow down on the introduction, we can see what looks to be a large boat exploding. Is that the floating restaurant from Sunken Dragon? Well, it would explain why it's sunk, I suppose. Even slowed down to 1/10 of its speed, this goes by pretty quick. So this is a market scene, maybe Pearl Market, maybe propaganda, and we've got the first shots of the ballistic shield in action. Next we have an underwater scene, probably from Lumpini Gardens, and then we've got a rooftop chase, which from the description would probably be from Pearl Market. This is also probably Pearl Market, and this could be propaganda. I've got a sneaky suspicion it might be, but I'm not sure. This is certainly from propaganda, and you can tell that from the buildings in the background. Now, I wasn't throwing those map names around at random. I've done a bit of research on Google and through satellite views and Google Maps to find out what the probable real life locations that the new maps are going to be based on. And we can have a look at those when I finish with this trailer, because I want to have a look at the Final Stand section and this strange flying object. So what is this thing? It's obviously got a minigun inbuilt in the front, and it's flying along using what appear to be pulse jets. Now, there is something in the real world that does this. However, it doesn't do it at 6 feet off the ground. Let me show you a video. What the real world version of this is the MKV, or the multiple kill vehicle, and it's designed to shoot down ICBMs and long range missiles. So, a satellite picks up a missile in flight and relays that to a ship. Now, you can tell by the graphics and the way the ship looks that this was done quite a while ago, because this was done for the Star Wars defense program that Ronald Reagan started. Now, they're called kinetic energy interceptors because essentially they go bang, they don't have a minigun inbuilt to them. And the reason why they have the jet system to steer and guide them is because they're operating in space, where there's no air for fins to work on. So, what is one doing flying 6 feet off the ground with a minigun strapped to the front of it? Well, I don't know, because I can't find any evidence of one ever being used for that. So what we'd appear to have here is an adapted MKV with its warhead removed and a minigun put in place, and it's now flying 6 feet above the ground in an atmosphere. Why it's doing that and what its purpose is in the game, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, I promised you a look at some of the places I think are the real world locations for the new Dragon's Teeth maps. And what we have for the maps that we know from DICE is that Propaganda is set in Pyongyang, Lumphini Garden is set in Bangkok, Pearl Market is in Guangzhou, and Sunken Dragon is at Haking Palace in Xi'an. This is the first real world location that I found, and it's Lumphini Gardens in Bangkok, and as you can see, it's a park in the middle of the city. If we take a look at the Google satellite view, you can see that it's essentially a city centre park. Now, the description of this map says cruise with fast moving PWCs on the canals in the pristine park to get the upper hand in the blazing infantry battle of Lumphini Garden. Now, the waterways in this real version seem to be a bit more naturalistic rather than canals, but it does fit. And the only difference in the name is the H. The real world one is called Lumphini Gardens, and the DICE one is called Lumphini Gardens. This next map may well be a red herring. Now, what we know from DICE is that Haking Palace in Xi'an is the setting for Sunken Dragon, and this is it. But you may notice there are no floating restaurants and there are no high-rise buildings. And the description of this map is wreak havoc in a floating restaurant or drain the lake, opening up for a full frontal vehicle assault. All the while battle rages between the modern high-rises of the Sunken Dragon. Now, this real-life palace does have dragon statues, but it doesn't match the description. In fact, if you look at it from above, you can see there are no high-rise buildings or lakes anywhere around it, just a few ornamental pools. And the actual palace, well, that was destroyed, and what you've got left here is the bathhouse. If we expand our search a little further, we find this, which is the Sea Palace floating restaurant in Shanghai. Now, this is on the Hangpo River, not a lake, but this fits the description of the map to a T. Wreak havoc in a floating restaurant or drain the lake, opening up a full frontal assault while battle rages between the modern high-rises of Sunken Dragon. So is this what the map is based on? We'll have to wait and see. This is Pearl Foreign Market in Guangzhou, which may well be the inspiration for Pearl Market. Now, this is a little odd because the description doesn't quite match. Wage war within the bustling alleyways and upon the rooftops of Pearl Market. Now, this place may well have once been a bustling market, but nowadays, as you can see, it's a large complex of buildings with its own park. This is one of the most affluent areas of Guangzhou, and it's not the kind of place you're going to find a bustling market scene. In fact, it's the kind of place you find Ferrari and Lamborghini dealerships. So, the name may be the same, but I don't think this is the location. Propaganda is a bit more tricky to track down because it just gives a city name, Pyongyang. In the trailer we do see a large tower, and this is the largest tower in Pyongyang. It's the TV tower, which does kind of fit with Propaganda. Now, I was a bit confused when water started pouring out of the tower, but maybe that section at the top is actually a water tank, so it works as a water tower as well. But if you look around it, it's not exactly surrounded by the kind of buildings that we see on the other parts of the map. In fact, when I image search for Pyongyang, as you can see, it's got some rather large shiny buildings, and that massive thing on the left is a new hotel. It's a bit of a white elephant, but it's quite impressive. And the rest of the city seems to be, okay, it's a bit square and boxy, but in reasonably good nick, and it's certainly not full of grey concrete. But eventually I did find some old school buildings, and these are maybe more like what we can expect in the map. And this is out towards one of the industrial areas of Pyongyang, and this is factory workers' housing. And you can even see the illuminated sign of the Glorious Leader. So maybe the tower we see coming down is the TV tower on propaganda, and they've just changed its location slightly. We'll have to wait and see. My 2 hours of looking around on Google for map locations didn't come out with anything definitive apart from maybe the Lumpini Gardens, but we'll just have to wait and see for when the full trailer comes out and we get some screenshots of the maps to see if I got any of my guesses right. And that's it for this episode of Battlefield 4 News. Hope you found it interesting, and I'll bring you more news when it happens. Thanks for watching.